Peace, family. Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter. We're back on live. It's been a little minute. How are y'all doing? One day I will be able to give you an actual schedule of when I'll be coming online. That day's not going to be today, unfortunately. So we're here and it's good to be back. When I started channeling what the message for this reading was, what came up, I'm looking for my earrings. Anyway, what came up is breaking through the division templates. And I am looking forward to that because what does that mean for us? Well, it means that we are going to be coming into union. It's very clear. And y'all know when I talk about union, divine union here in the Ethereum, I'm not talking about sorry, give me a second. I'm not talking about your romantic partner or your S life. I'm talking about like your whole world, your whole life. So that's what we are talking about when I'm saying coming into union. The barriers to your ability to integrate into union with your divine counterpart. And that's your whole entire life that we're talking about here. The barriers to that have been dissolved in the past week, especially the past week. And yeah, that's super exciting, I would say, for all of us. Pulling up the chart now, we're going to look at a whole sign chart. This is why I don't like this. This is why I don't like this chart. We're going to go to midnight today. Actually, you know something? My teacher told me, or he told us. My teacher is 𝗪𝗨. He's on here. Ancestral Spiritual Connections, I think is his name on here. I met 𝗪𝗨 through YouTube because I'm just going to channel off the cuff while I do my thing. I met 𝗪𝗨 on YouTube because when I started going through an initiation and an awakening, I was being contacted basically by the 𝗪𝗨. And my grandmother was a 𝗪𝗨 priestess. She was initiated. And so when that was happening, I went online to learn more about them. And I was like, I need to find someone who can help me. I need to find someone who can talk to me about this because this is really important. And I found him, and then I found this other guy that I started connecting with, and they are the ones who introduced me to the shamans that I work with. I call them that, but they're like priests. They're medicine people is the more accurate language around them. But yeah, so the 𝗪𝗨 priests and medicine people that I work with back home in West Coast Africa, that's how I met them. And he told me actually that the start of the day is actually, it's not midnight, it's midday. I'm pretty sure that's what he said, but whatever. We're gonna set the chart to pull up at 3 a.m. the 14th. That's today. Bastille Day if you celebrate. But yes, so the division templates are being dissolved and disintegrated. They have been dissolved, they have been disintegrated, and we have had this happen because of Saturn being in Pisces. Now, folks have mentioned that things have been really effed up since Saturn went retrograde that started on June 29th. I would say that things have been particularly aggressive since then, because it feels like to me the last dregs of our shadow energy, our karmic energy, has been being pushed out in order for us to be relieved of it. And the thing to understand is that we are Saturn has to do with karma, and dissolution has to do with Pisces, because it is the membrane. Pisces is the membrane through which we must transcend in order to get to new earth timelines, new earth templates. We have to go through that purification process to come into unity and to come into union. So we're always like, oh, I want to come into union, divine union, like no more separation. But think about it, like a lot of our trauma is the stuff that has us in these separation templates, in these separation timelines, right? So when we're like, oh, I want to be in union, I want to embody Christ consciousness, that is to say unconditional love and unconditional integrity, when we are in that space, we have to think about the fact that, like, what is that? That means that even the people that have hurt you the most, you still have to do what you have to do in order to be able to channel unconditional love. And I'm not saying that's everybody's lot. Like, everybody's on their own journey. Everybody's soul is in its own, like, place that it can progress from. But I am saying that, like, for people who claim to be of Christ consciousness, if you claim to be a light worker, if you claim to be a crystalline, that is the fact of the matter for you, is that you have to become a fount of unconditional love. It means loving without condition. Okay. And that's easy to do when it's not personal. You know what I mean? Personally, 45 has never done anything to me. And so it's a lot easier for me to be like, you know what? I even have love for that person in the sense of divine unconditional love. But it's a lot harder for me to feel that way towards people who I gave so much love and they betrayed me, or people who, yeah, I mean, that's usually what it comes down to, right? Is like we feel betrayed by people. And that's why a couple of weeks ago, the message was about not projecting onto people our expectations, because when they fail to meet our expectations, which they inevitably will, everybody, is going to do that at some point, because we're human. And also, those are your expectations. If I didn't tell you, confirmation, if I didn't tell you that that's like what I'm going to do, then you actually failed yourself. You betrayed yourself by projecting these expectations that, are unwarranted, quite frankly. So it's important for us to be able to recognize that and be able to say, like, hey, here's my part in it. And my part in it is that I had expectations that were frankly unrealistic. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, with a situationship, like, a lot of the time we can tell that somebody is going to be, it's at most going to be a situationship, if not less than that. You know what I mean? But a lot of the time, this is a very Piscean thing to do, by the way. We will be like, it's also quite Cancerian as well. I would also say it's pretty Virgoan. Virgo and Pisces are sister signs, but it is the signs that are like more prone to enmeshment and tend to be very nurturing and tend to be very discerning and have a keen awareness. It can also definitely be very Scorpio, but I do feel like Scorpio, I'll get to the point. It's like, oh, I can fix them. Scorpio is less so I can fix them as much as like, we're in it for the long haul. No matter what happens, no matter how fucked up shit gets, we're fucking in it together. Whereas those other signs can very much be like, I can fix this person. And The reality is, if you feel like you need to fix someone to force them to be the person to fit into the like standards that you want, you don't actually love them. You don't actually accept them for 1001 mirroring. You don't actually accept them for who they are. Um, because if all they're capable of is being that person, you will accept them and place them accordingly in your life. But if you're like, well, this person is capable of this, but I see potential in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this pressure on them to change. When I was 19, I dated this guy who was 28, and I really liked the way that he dressed. It was fine. It wasn't terrible, but like I was just like, fashion. Like I read Complex magazine and nylon is my Bible. And yeah, like I broke up with him on the one train, and unfortunately it wasn't the end of our day together. It was actually the very beginning of our day together. And we were going shopping to get him a new wardrobe, and it's just like, honestly, you know, that's what they call the black wife effect, by the way. But to be honest, like, make life a lot easier on yourself by knowing your standards and knowing what it is you desire, and only giving the opportunity to fill that space to people who actually like want to and are able to. You know what I mean? Like, yes, folks can become more sophisticated, but like, if you're going into the relationship with the idea of like, oh, like I can fix that though, a little time with me and they'll be fine. Like, but what if they don't ever change? Then what? It's you who's going to be resentful for the fact like, I invested so much time and energy. And also, this is how a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to date people who are not conventionally attractive because they're less likely to cheat on me. Hun, when they inevitably do, because that's the karmic lesson a lot of the time, or they're going to like be so respectful towards me. Wrong. We are looking for the wrong things. It's all about like this focusing on people's like exterior, and not enough on the interior. So, you know, that's a very simplistic form of like looking at it like, oh, I'm going to date this unattractive person because they're not going to cheat on me. It's like, yo, like, you need to be looking at the content of someone's character, which is your character is the sum of your actions. Look at their actions. Look at the like their heart. Look at the way that they speak to you. Look at their principles and their values. That's what's going to tell you if there's someone who's going to cheat on you or not if they're ugly. Um, you feel me? I hear this shit all the time. And I have to just tell you, like, that's not true. So yeah, like, if we're not willing to like be in a relationship with someone as they are, and it's like, no, you know what, 1313 on the timer, I can be with this person and we'll ride it out and they'll just be the way that they are, I would be okay with them staying exactly as they are. If you wouldn't be okay with someone staying exactly as they are, that's not someone that you should date. That's not someone you should be friends with. Because who are you, Mr. Fix-It-Upper? You know what I mean? And this is not at all like, oh, like the romance or relationship gurus or anything like that. This is actually just being a fucking kind person, because it's not cool to like only go into a relationship knowing that you have the intention of changing this person and that you wouldn't be okay with them remaining as they are. That's actually very cruel and unkind. It's not unconditionally loving. It's actually unconditionally loving to be like, you know what? This is somebody who I could like maybe talk to for a little bit, but that's really it. Or I could like maybe like hook up with them, or you know, we can be acquaintances, we can be work friends, but like that's not somebody that I would actually be in a like, that's not someone I would hang out with outside of work. Maybe once in a while, once a year, we can hang out after I quit this job, that type of thing. That makes sense. You can do that with a job too, professionally, because that's capitalism. But you know, in the most like, when we're spirit centered, we have to know these kinds of things and we have to honor these kinds of things. With capitalism, it doesn't matter. Like, this job, if I don't get promoted within this amount of time, I'm quitting. If I talk to this person and let them know that the way that they act towards me is not okay more than 2 times, I'm quitting. That type of shit, that's fine, because that's like, y'all are not friends. But if it is an intimate relationship that you're building with someone, you owe it to them to accept them for who they are. Okay, so that's something that somebody really needed to hear. We're coming into divine union because of the dissolution of the barriers to union. And like I said, it's a lot to do with like our trauma, creating division, us versus them. That is a trauma response. That's something that our primal brain does. It categorizes things in order to keep us safe, So that's a lot of why we will be like, oh, that's a lot of why we've had our brains and our animal bodies weaponized against us. Because as I've said, the adversary is a sophisticated enemy. They're not dumb. Y'all think that Donald Trump is an idiot, or 45, excuse me, that he's an idiot, that he doesn't know what he's doing and everything that he does. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's an evil person, but he's genius at his evil. You think that these people who are in power, look at Paris Hilton, for instance. I'm not saying she's evil at all. I actually really respect Paris Hilton. But she played dumb throughout the McBling era because it served her and it made her an icon. It made her very famous. It made her a lot of money. And she's not dumb at all. So folks need to get this idea out of our heads. The adversary is actually incredibly sophisticated. And yes, our brains and our bodies have been weaponized against us. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why it's so important for us to understand the human body and accept the human body for what it is. You might not want to believe it, but hey, you're a primate. You are a primate, Homo sapien. And the sooner that we get that through our heads and we accept ourselves for what we are, the better. So we can accept ourselves for being human. It takes a lot of work. It's easier to accept when people are have isms, and people are prejudiced towards us. It's easier to be able to forgive them when we understand the systems are working exactly as they're meant to. And it's something that I really want to communicate to my collective, especially, is that, if you're an outlier, that's the term that I use for anybody who is of supernatural origin. So you might come from a family lineage of witches, medicine people, shamans, intuitive, psychics. You might be an earth angel. You might come from any kind of lineage background, however you identify, whatever. If you're an outlier, you have a supernatural form of consciousness that makes you more readily available to recognize things that are not super helpful, and to be able to see these systems. Once you get to once you transcend 3D consciousness and you get to 4D consciousness, once you do that, you have a bird's eye view of everything that's going on. But are you actually embodying it? Because 4D consciousness is Christ consciousness. So just because you have that view, that's why Yeshua said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Understanding that they know not what they do and that the system is working exactly as it's meant to, that's one thing. But can you actually forgive them? Because that's the barrier to being in divine union. Because guess what? These malevolent entities and energies and expressions of existence, oh, they're low vibrational. Sure, they are very low vibrational. But if that's the case, they wouldn't be able to attach to you if you were not also at some point in your energy vibrating alongside them. And you can actually have gratitude, lightning speed. This is going to help you timeline jump. You can actually, sorry, that I got thrown off for a second. Timeline jumping. Give me a second. Something else like came in and like knocked me off of that thread. Oh, you can actually have gratitude for those energies showing you where you need to do the shadow work. That's why, Sam T, thank you for your kindness. What can I do? It's a terrible situation. Sam T, why don't you just share with me a little bit about what you're going through, and I can try and help you as much as I can. As you know, as long as it's helpful for the collective, but it sounds like it's probably aligned with what we're talking about. So I'm happy to answer your question. So we can be grateful because, honestly, nothing in this world is not of service to the Most High, because everything is of the Most High. Unfortunately, there's been degradation and devolution. We've fragmented so much and we've spiraled so far through time and space that we sometimes start to forget and we get separated. 420, God is punishing me for 424, like cannabis. I will also say that perhaps one thing that you'll want to avoid that can be really helpful for you is avoid making God anthropomorphic. God does not have, God's not a human. You know what I mean? So some gods and deities, it might be like your family deities might be punishing you. Your family deities might be mad at you for something, but the Most High does not operate like that. So that's something very important to understand. And all of these energies are in service to the Most High. One of my friends, 2222, okay, yeah, explain to me what's up. And just explain the background and I can help you. But one of my friends was like, angels are the deities of Christianity and Islam and Judaism, the Abrahamic religions, the angels. And like I say this all the time, angelology, a lot of people who claim to be, I'll speak specifically of Christianity because this is not necessarily true in Judaism and Islam, but in Christianity, a lot of people don't know anything about the nature of angels, don't know anything about the nature of demons. They just completely ignore any of that. And it's just this is a big part of why they struggle so much, because they don't actually know anything about this spiritual context that they claim to be a part of, 2323, and that's very dangerous. You need to know what you're a part of. There are different tiers and different levels of angel, including the Nephilim. The Nephilim are on par with, they are like the heroes or the demigods, if you will, because they're half angel, half human. If you think about it, and the Nephilims that were monsters, and then also the Nephilim that were not monsters. But ultimately, angels are monsters, technically. It's a frequency that you can embody, and only certain bodies can embody it. But that's also to say, if in your body, this is why it's very important to understand bloodline stuff, because in my spiritual practice, we believe that you only incarnate into the same bloodline every time. You're from that same collective every time. And so you can only incarnate into bloodlines that you are connected from spiritually. And this is actually a big part of why a lot of people who are 2442, a lot of people who are into the occult are obsessed with bloodlines, and folks don't understand why. And it's like, that's why. That's why. Certain bloodlines are naturally magical and have natural powers. Certain bloodlines are, you know, Nephilim bloodlines, this kind of thing. Like I said, my lineage, like, we are both of my lineages. They're like, my grandfather, my mom's dad, he grew up very Christian and like my grandmother was a witch. There's a reason why he was attracted to her. You know what I mean? It doesn't just happen by accident. And there's a reason why I'm only attracted to other supernatural people. I'm not at all attracted to mundanes, because what are we going to do together? You know what I mean? And then also I think about like my children and the legacy of my lineage that I'm leaving behind. Sam T, I'm still available if you want to let me know what's going on. But yeah, point being, angels, we have cherubim, we have ophanim, we have seraphim, we have so many different, we have thrones, you know what I mean? We have like all these different levels of angels, and we have archangels, like, and obviously that's the same as the lineage, like the different tiers of, oh yeah, I feel you, same. You want to tell me, well, you don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. Anyway, it's the same as the different pantheons. So that's important to think about and understand. All of them, like, they can't actually supersede the Most High, obviously. They don't have the power, simply put. They don't have the power to. So they are still acting in accord of the Most High, and they can only come to you if you are resonating at a certain frequency for some reason. You might be cursed. You might have a curse on your bloodline. That's another thing to think about. If you're not thinking about, just think about this. You marry into a bloodline that has a curse on it. What's going to happen to your progeny? And you take that on spiritually as well. That's when you have karmic children. And this is why it's very important to be like aware of these things. I see it on people, like I see it on even people in my family have curses on them. They don't want to believe it. It's like, oh, if I don't believe it, then it can't affect me. Bitch, you're crazy. That's not how it works. And they are still being affected by it, and they are still dying from it. Very bad deaths that you don't want to experience. You know what I mean? So these are things, like, you can't sit here and deny these things. If you know that you have powers, like, stop denying it. And I know that it can be, for some of us, I'll tell you, Sam T, especially, a little bit about my experience. I was always strange. I've always been strange. I started walking at a very young age. It was actually very odd. I just also, I potty trained really early. My mom said one day, 28, I just stopped peeing in the night, as a little baby. I just stopped doing it. And I only wanted to spend, I've talked about this, I only wanted to spend time with in nature, pretty much. That was my thing. And talking to the tree in our backyard. But I also had night terrors, and I was scared all the time. Unless I was with my mom, I would cling to her because I had supernatural abilities. My cousin, who's exactly 6 months younger than me, and we came, there are certain, they're one of my soulmates, essentially. I have certain soulmates, and we come into contact with one another to work through karma. We have contracts with one another. My cousin, who's 6 months younger than me, we were, in a way, at a certain point, reflections of one another in our family. And they also had the gift of sight. They saw shadows. But I had a curse on my family, and this deity was allowed to attack me and my family, but I guess I was the only one who could see it. Um, and were allowed to attack me and my family because my family had turned against our religion and became Christians. And so because I'm the only one of my siblings, like we all know that we have powers, but I'm the only one who has pursued this. Um, I'll say some people, they are like, when something really bad is happening, this is honestly true for like most Africans, I'll be honest. If something really, really bad is happening, we will turn to our ancestral religion, indigenous religion, very quickly. But then if nothing is happening, then it's like, oh, praise the Lord. But for me, for this reason, like we were still always really close to our ancestral beliefs. Like those kind of things kind of like coincide in a way. But I always had supernatural gifts. I always knew things that I wasn't supposed to know. I was just very wary, as world wary at a very young age. And so me and my siblings, we all started reading very young. And I started reading very young. And so because I was seen as being quite antisocial, my mom was told to go get me tested by a child psychologist, 3113. And it was determined that I probably was on the spectrum. Most likely at that time, it would have been considered Asperger's. The DSM-5, we don't use that term anymore, probably because that guy was a Nazi scientist. And it's all just being on the spectrum. So although I have to go get re-diagnosed as an adult because my mom hid the diagnosis from me, thinking that I would forget about it, I never forgot. I would have dreams about it, that I was in like this doctor's office in this maze. I would have memories come up where I was like playing in the doctor's office with like these toys and things, to go get the test. And I think we may have even gone there multiple times. And I went to a child therapist as well. And so, yeah, I would most likely, when I go get re-diagnosed, it will probably be a diagnosis of like level 1, being on the spectrum of the autism spectrum. And my mom was like, no, not my kid. But at the same time, they were like, your kid's really advanced. And so they put me in advanced classes ever since like kindergarten, first grade. And I was in advanced classes ever since then. And so because of this, I was separate from the majority of the other students. For folks who are just joining, we're talking about being hunted as social experiment, SAMT. I'm talking about my experience in hopes that it will be helpful for you. I was always away from the other kids, like in this small group of students who were advanced, always. And when I got to 8th grade, we were invited to choose. I'll also say when I moved to Montgomery County, my year was the year that they would test new curriculums on us. So though I had a sister who was 2 years older than me, she had a different experience. Her and my cousin had different experience in school because we were getting tested on, literally. And the county that I grew up in, right outside of Washington, D.C., the county that I grew up in, we were extremely competitive. So we had to do standardized testing. Like most school systems do like one standardized testing a year, but we did like 3 standardized tests a year. And then, yeah, so when I was in 8th grade, we had to choose if in high school we would do this special research program called the 𝗰cie program. Of course, I chose to do it. A lot of the overachieving children of immigrants or immigrants themselves were encouraged by our parents to do this because it was a way that like we would be really attractive to colleges and like get out of, our situations. But there were also like American kids who did it. It was all of the overachievers. And I know people who like have done PhD certifications studying the rigor of the county that I grew up in. And so it was like, especially in high school, I was in classes with pretty much the same, not even 100 kids, 34, 43 on the clock, not even 100 kids. Like it was pretty much just this, like the same little group of kids, because we had to take special classes at special times so that we would be able to do our research program, our AP classes, and our special advanced classes that we had to take. And then after that, we also had the federales. We also were offered to do this internship program. And of course, all of us overachieving kids, like, one second. Somebody doesn't want me to talk about this. For this reason, yeah, all of us who were already overachieving, we chose to do the internship program. So at that point, it was like by senior year, I had been in the same class with about the same 50 at most to 100 kids since pretty much like sixth grade. And we were selected. We were selected to be in the honors classes. It's not like we were asked, we were placed in the honors classes, and then we were invited to do the program. And, as a kid, I also had to like constantly do blood work. And I was also constantly going to like the children's hospital because I had a lot of sickness. I'll answer this question. And what I downloaded about what your question is, Sam T, is that like, I'll also say this much. Arman on TikTok, 𝗪𝗪 talks a lot about this, and I would advise you to go follow him. He talks a lot about his experience, but this is definitely like these are experiments. Like that is what it is. You know what I mean? Like these are being experimented upon. And that was definitely like my experience as well. And that is part of the MK testing and programming, the 𝗪MC projects, military mind control, that they do. And I mean, it's very much like it's the stuff of Stranger Things, but like that's literally what it is, to find people who are, capable of being trained to fill certain roles in certain positions, especially if you are susceptible to being coerced into doing certain things. That's essentially what an industry plant is. I'm really starting to realize what an industry plant Drake actually is. But yeah, what about the angels? They allow the demons to exalt. Can you ask? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Demons are actually angels, technically. But I'll answer your next question is like, this is all karma. We have to play out the karmic script. The aberration first took place. If you watch the channeling that I did for, I think it was either the Vampire Contracts or the Lilith Collective ones that I did, but I talk about this. A trauma happened in the higher realms, in the higher dimensions, and because of that, it has to play out in the lower dimensions. So this is why attacks like the Lyran attacks happened in higher dimensions. And so some of the things that we are experiencing in the 3D, like it's inevitable. We have, like, some of us have higher karma, like more karma that we have to work through. And that's why some of us have so much, we are master manifestors, but it takes longer. Sometimes there are obstacles to manifesting because we have so many karmic obstacles that we have to, work through and that we have to shadow work. Give me just a second. So yeah, I would say that the reason why this happened is because also we have free will. And this is a free will realm. So if somebody chose to do something to you, that was their choice. They chose to do that. God didn't make anybody do anything because everybody knows right from wrong. You don't need someone to teach you right from wrong. If you wouldn't want someone to come and smash your face, why would you go smash someone else's face? You know what I mean? But people know that they have the option. I could have not smashed that person's face, but I chose to do it because that's what I chose to do. Nobody forced you to do it. Self-sovereign people do not we take accountability for our actions because we understand that we have free will and we misuse our will sometimes. And the point of cosmic wellness, the point of spiritual abolition is to develop self-sovereignty so that we are consciously co-creating our universe, our life. And that doesn't just mean manifestation, that also means our karma. It will always come back to us. So be very sure that like this stuff, yeah, it is very sad, but you can't think of like yourself as a victim. Think of yourself as a victor. You came here with a job to do, which means you have the power to do that job. Everything that you need, you have. Each of us is equipped with the tools necessary to be able to fulfill our mission. It's just a matter of being able to recognize them. It's hard, don't get me wrong. Life has been fucked up. I hope that whatever emergency is happening, that everybody's okay, because like this is a lot of fire trucks and police cars. As I've said before, I live on a like main street, so it's very loud. I apologize if that's triggering for anybody. But you know what? Why don't we just actually even take a moment to breathe and pray and ground for a second and continue from there? Sam T, your bloodline, y'all are being forsaken. That's why what's happening to you is happening to you. First of all, you have shadow work to do around your inner child. Um, that's first of all. Second of all, yeah, there's a lot of healing. You didn't get certain things that you needed as a child, and you're still operating from that space, from that template. And I see it in your sacral chakra. You don't believe that you have the power to create that you do. I'm telling you that you do. And that's what I was saying before is like, people think that like, how do you think that you're going to be able to create at the level that you are born to create at if you don't believe in yourself? If you halfway believe, you're going to get halfway results. You need to believe 100%. So that means, and I understand I've talked about mustard seed faith before, right? But that means that like you have to train yourself. For me, even as much as I have like these gifts, I've been doing this work for years because I had low self-worth and low self-esteem because of the abuse that I experienced throughout my life and other things, but we'll leave it at that. I only kind of like 75% believed myself. It took working with the medicine people back in my country and seeing the magic that they fucking did firsthand. I'll tell you, when I tell you, this man drew the demon that I was being attacked by on paper. He drew it because he could see it. He drew it and he said, this is what it is. He wrote down some other symbols. He closed it in his hand. He lifted his hands above a wooden bowl and rubbed his hands together, opened his hands, and the paper burst into flame in the air and fell into the bowl. He went to the river to go summon this entity to talk to them and deal with them. And mind you, fine connection all the way up to the river. As soon as he goes to summon the entity, the phone started glitching out and went off. I literally have seen people's faces show up in mirrors. When I say mirrors are portals, I know for a fact. This isn't conjecture. I have seen it with my own two eyes. It is caught on tape. And another person was there with me while we interfaced with him multiple times. So when I tell you, it took that for me to be able to sit here and be like, you know what? I believe this shit 100%. Before I used to be like, oh, that happens in the higher realms, but maybe like in these realms, it only takes place like this, because I had never seen it before. I saw it with my own two eyes. And so I can't sit here and give people the most accurate fucking reading that they've ever had in their life. I never met you, but somehow I know your whole life story. That's not mundane shit. That doesn't make any sense, right? So we have to accept that something supernatural is happening here. And if I don't accept that, then I'm just sitting here lying to myself. You cannot deny that I have these supernatural powers, because I've read for at least 1,000 people, and I've never missed the mark. How's it that 1,000 people, it's happened that way every single time? I never met you, but somehow I know your whole life story. And I don't even need the cards. I don't need to know your chart. Don't sit here and lie to yourself about your power. This is you playing. This is when we play into their manipulations, because they can't actually, they're not more powerful than us. If they were more powerful than us, why would they need to attack us? A true lion does not give a fuck about what the sheep got going on. A true wolf does not give a fuck about what the sheep got going on. But if I'm a lion sitting out here thinking that I'm a sheep, then yeah, I'm going to care what the sheep think about me. But that doesn't make any sense. You're a whole ass carnivorous predator worried about what an herbivore sheep thinks about you. And they can't even, they're not that intelligent sheep. Okay? But beyond that, we're here to be shepherds of the flock. We're here to teach as outliers. The reason I call us outliers is because there's an aggregate of human consciousness. And then there are people who have more developed, advanced consciousness. Some people like Albert Einstein, for instance. The greatest philosophers, the greatest scientists, anyone who's considered a genius has a higher form of consciousness. You're tapped into realms that the aggregate of human people are not. That's why they have so much influence. Creative geniuses. And this doesn't mean that they're good people. And also, look at Nikola Tesla. A lot of them die poor because so many of us are good people, good, loving people who care about each other more than we care about material gain. People like Nikola Tesla die poor because somebody who was not as smart as him, Thomas Edison, but was much more sinister and nefarious, was willing to do whatever he had to do to steal his intellectual property and capitalize off of it so that this man could die poor, regardless of the fact that he contributed so much that, honestly, I don't even think that we would have modern technology what it is today if it were not for Nikola Tesla. But that's how he lived. This idea that to be what we are, we have to be humble, we have to be like, to not like ourselves or to not have real self-respect. Like, that's not true. You can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm blessed, I'm a chosen one, I'm one of the anointed, and then also be like, but I'm a real piece of shit. Like, no, I'm not a king, I'm not a queen, I'm not really like sovereign. Yes, you are. You have a collective that you are meant to be serving. Being a king, being a queen, being a leader. This is what I learned from a political dynasty as my family. It's not fun and games. If you're not really willing to be of service and to put your happiness and your joy on the line to be of service to your collective, you're not a leader. You're not a true king or queen. You're not a true sovereign. My grandfather died because he felt it was more important to stand up for the truth for our people. That's what he felt. And that's what I was taught throughout my life, is that's what we do, because we have a responsibility to the collective to be of service and to use our gifts and our talents. And this is why we forgive, for they know not what they do. They don't see what we see. They can't. People's dead ancestors come to me and talk to me and commune with me and tell me messages to give them because they can't hear them. Usually by the time that somebody comes to start working with me, they've already gone through so much, and they're still not on the path that their ancestors had to push them on in to work with me, because y'all know I go deep and we go to the depths, we go to the dark. And this is what I'm talking about as far as the barriers to union are. We cannot sit here and think of ourselves as victims. We have been victimized, that much is true, but we are victorious in our power. Victorious in Christ consciousness, being 4-dimensional consciousness. You can't get to 5D, 6D, 7D, you can't get to any of that and not have gone through the embodiment of Christ consciousness. You will never get higher if you can't go through that. And this is why we have these division templates. There was no such thing as racism. Black people, white people, that didn't exist. Cis heteropatriarchy didn't exist. These things were made up to keep us divided. And if you decide to be able to understand that two things can be true at once, it's not real, but it is an ideology that is being made real by people who have been forced, notice I said been forced, to believe it and to follow it and to practice it. Those two things can be true, and we can keep ourselves safe by not engaging with people who embody those kinds of ideologies, while still understanding that they're operating from a system that is harmful and detrimental, and it's going to keep them from being able to evolve higher forever. That's what they want. Okay? So the part of you that the parts of you, the parts of us that we have shut ourselves off from engaging with because it's so traumatic, you have to let yourself open up to receiving that part of you so you can be in your full power. Because look at this. This is you and your power. Now, when you cut off a part of yourself, this is you in your power and this is your shadow. And not only are you only at 50% capacity, but you're also being attacked by your shadow because it wants to reintegrate with you. And the sick, sad, suffering parts of you want to be laid to rest. So this week is going to be intense. I promise you that. There's going to be a lot going on outside of our hula hoop. Our hula hoop is what we can control. All that we can control are our actions. I'm going to get so real with you right now. All I can control are my actions. I cannot control my feelings. I can not really control my thoughts. I can have some impact, but I can't control them. Heck, you know, I'm still learning. Every single day is a learning experience of how to control my powers, right? So, and then I'm always getting new powers, and now I have to learn how to deal with that. I'm more sensitive than ever. I have to learn how to deal with that. And each process of gaining new power is exhausting and it's uncomfortable and it's harrowing every single time. The first time, like when I became telepathic, that was probably the worst year of my life. No, it's hard for me to quantify things like that, but like it was one of the worst years of my life. That shit was scary. It was not fun. It was like, yeah, like, duh, I always knew I had powers, of course. But like, that shit was not, that was scary. And I didn't live with my dad yet. I hadn't gone to see him. I went to see him whilst I was experiencing this. And he is the person who taught me what was, can we enter other dimensions? Yes. Astral projection. But if you are having issues with your shadow, I would really encourage you to not do astral projection until you deal with that. Every single one of your chakras is its own universe. You are a universe. I am a universe. I'm a multiverse. We are multiverses. And each of our chakras is a different universe. So what I would encourage you to do is a different dimension. Each dimension is a different universe. What I would encourage you to do is go astral project to your different chakras and heal the demons that are in there, because you are being attacked by demonic entities. The circumstances are very bad. Yeah. I don't know what cultural background you have, but I would definitely go to a shaman. Like I said, I'm not doing exorcisms right now. And honestly, I mean, everything I do is an exorcism because of the light that I carry. But I might not start doing exorcisms again until I get initiated. But I would really recommend to you to find a medicine person or a shaman from your culture to do the work on you. I'm pretty sure that like the shamans that I work with might be able to help you, but I would have to ask my teacher. But I do get the sense that your bloodline has curses on it. So I would really recommend to you that you do that, because you do have that energy on you. Your sacral chakra, like I said, there's a lot to do with you not being in your power. You're not in your co-creative power. You're not in your sovereignty because you're scared. I understand that. It's because you're scared and because you've been victimized. But honestly, a big part of it, you can start working with a therapist, a trauma-informed therapist who can help you with the CPTSD. Also, if you want to book sessions with me, I do help with the shadow work, and I can help you in that regard. But in terms of like actually breaking these kinds of curses, I'm not initiated yet, so I'm not going to tell you that I can do that work. And also, I'm not allowed by my spirits to do that kind of work right now. So I can help you to what degree I can, but I really think that you need to find like an initiated practitioner, not one of these people out here who's like selling hundreds of dollars like to do this kind of work, and they're not even initiated into anything. Like these people, they can like help a little bit, but they cannot really break these curses. Like curses that are put on you by African magic, you can't break that with light work and energy work and prayer. I guarantee you, because how many thousands of dollars did I spend trying to do that shit? You can't. The only people, because our magics are locked and encoded, so if you're not from our bloodlines, you can't even access the codes to know what is going on. So I would really recommend to you, and other like Celtic religion, same thing. The Druids encoded in the DNA their grimoires, their magic. It's in our bones. This is what we talk about Lemurian quartz crystals, because our bone marrow is where our DNA is stored. It's under lock and key. You cannot access it unless you are of the bloodlines. You cannot access it even if you're in the bloodline, if you're not of a certain frequency. So these motherfuckers trying to incarnate into our bloodlines in order to access it, they're not ever going to be able to. You have to be vibrating at a certain frequency to be able to use it and to be able to even access it, period. That's what it is. So it's foolish to me, but part of their plan also is at least to destroy the bloodline through trauma as much as they possibly can. And that's another tactic that they use. And I get the sense it's everything is God. Everything, because God is all and all is God. But this is why you have to understand, like, the adversarial energies, they are on their own journey even. They're on their own journey even. But I think that you're getting caught up in thinking of 5959, thinking of God as an anthropomorphic being. It's not a human or a humanoid who sits around and thinks about things. It is this all-pervading energy, and it's in everything that exists. It is all. So even your worst enemy is God experiencing God. The sunlight, the oceans, is God experiencing God. Each of us has a divine spark inside of us. Everything does. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. That's what we have to understand. Okay, so let's get into talking about the chart and practical advice for this week ahead. I think that we've talked about a lot of things that were actually very much important, right on the money in terms of what I was talking about. There are barriers in our minds, our mental barriers, our emotional barriers that keep us separate, and we have to dissolve all of that. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. One day you might be a dog or a cat. You know what I mean? Like one day you might be a starfish. One day you might be a mer person in Mintaka. One day, you know what I mean? But this is the life that you're living now. I seriously would suggest, I think you have a lot of shadow work and transmutational alchemical work that you have to do. I'm picking up something, it's Kemet, it's not Egypt. If you have like a connection to what you think is Egypt, it's not Egypt, it's Kemet, it's actually Nubia that you are connected to. I do also get the sense that what is troubling you is collective. It's not just you. It is because of these corrupt priest kings back in those days. And I get the sense that you were sacrificed to a demon, 𝗵𝗵. I'm going to do some light language real quick. HIS. So you're being hunted by these vampire cults, and your power is being stolen from you. It's being directly siphoned from your sacral chakra. If you have like nighttime visitations and you are like feeling drained of your energy, you might have like vampiric entities who are draining your energy. Succubi, like coming to you in the dream realm, you need to learn how to astral project. You need to learn how to protect yourself in the astral realms. Grounding meditation is really important for you. And strengthening, because your sacral chakra especially is just leaking. It's just leaking so much energy. And you need to repair that. If you experienced trigger warning here, I will flash my hands like this when the trigger warning is over. But if you experienced SA, especially as a child, that's what this is from. And this is a carryover from this sacrifice in Kemet. As a young child being used for and abused for these things. And also I see you in the Vatican as well, and the same things happening then too. And there's a reason that they prey on your energy, is because your energy is more powerful and potent than other people's, and it is the sacral energy. The 𝗪ᵄ energy is the creative energy. That is our creative life force. So that's why they prey on that. And if you had those experiences, I'm really sorry that that happened to you, and I'm sending you so much love and light and healing. Okay, so honestly, I would do a live like energy healing right now, but I experienced some really gnarly stuff last time I did that, so it might be a while before I do that. But I also really want to get into the specific energy of the week. Pyrite, call on your core power. Like I said, you gotta call on God and ask for help and be willing to accept help when it's given. That means that, like, if God sends you a deity, a lower God, to help you, you can accept their help. And like I said, you can look at the demonic energies and be like, this is showing me where I need to fine tune my energy, because they cannot latch onto you unless you are in a matching frequency. But if you got free and you are vibrating higher, they can't latch onto you. Okay. And a lot of us, that's what we went through last week. We had really, really aggressive energy weeks. Like, the energy last week was crazy. And I'm recording this on July 14th. The energy last week was so crazy, so violent. Like, everyone I know who's like me, like us, were attacked, whether in person, verbally, like online, like attacked by these ignorant, insane, right-wing people who were they were just trying to enforce propaganda. I mean, if you watch my live from last Sunday, I think it was, there was like 50 people in here at one time, and like certain people were saying things that were, one, sexualizing, but two, like racist, and like, you know, they're just trying to get at me in a way that they see, oh, physically I'm going to insult you about this thing, or I'm going to insult your powers, or I'm going to say this or that, and and then I got attacked on Threads as well by a bunch of like incels, basically, and they thought that I was gonna like be sad or argue with them. And a previous version of me who was outside of their power may have been sad and argued with them, but I didn't care. I don't care what you think. You are embarrassing. I don't care. And like, honestly, I found it to be hilarious. One of my mentors, same thing happened to her on TikTok. One of our mutual friends, same thing happened to her on TikTok. She got attacked verbally, and trolled like crazy. Like, one of my friends, like, yo, so many people experience this. This is the false matrix trying to latch onto us any way they can. They're looking for our weak spots. They're looking for our weak points to be able to attack us and to drag us down so that we can stay in hell with them. Don't let them. Honestly, I've said this before, laugh in their face. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Like, just laugh at them, because they wouldn't have to attack you this hard. You wouldn't have to have been on a project for thousands of years to attack us, like impregnating people to attack us, you know what I mean? And trying to infiltrate bloodlines, creating all of these systems, doing all of this traumatic stuff. You wouldn't have to do all of that to attack us and to bring us down if you weren't so fucking weak. You wouldn't need a whole coven to go after one person if I weren't more powerful than you. You can't do it on your own. You wouldn't have to do that. So this is when we talk about powers and principalities. This is what I was saying. This is stuff that happened in the higher dimensions, because it is an energy, an entity that is a spirit that is infiltrating people who are of a low vibration for them to attack you. Usually the people who attacked you were possessed. They weren't even in their right mind. Usually they're never in their right mind because most people are so dissociated that they don't even know what the fuck is going on. Most people. You know what I mean? So they can easily be mounted by a spirit and used to attack you. Just like angels can manifest in people and be used to help you. But the demons are fallen angels. They're cut from the same cloth, but they have to attack little old you. And they have to go hard in their warfare. Why? Because we're more powerful than them, Earth Angel. You're of a frequency. And you are a star child for sure. I'm picking up Andromeda. So don't let them, even if you feel like so sad and like so hurt profoundly, you are not alone. Stop saying I'm so alone. No, you're not. Because look at us sitting here talking. Stop saying that. You are sovereign. You have to remember that, and you have to choose the sovereign choice and not the trauma response. You think that I just like went from experiencing extreme abuse and extreme poverty to being somebody who can say these things? No. I've gone through extreme therapy. I've gone through extreme recovery. I've been sober for over 4 years. I've been sober from alcohol for 5 years, 111. I've done the work. I've been shadow working for much longer than that. Everything in my life is about vibrating higher, healing myself, and saving my own life so that I can be that to other people. That's what it is. So you got to get your self-esteem up. I would recommend listening to self-concept subliminals to rewire your subconscious mind, because that's where the entity is. It's not just your shadow. You have an entity that is preying on your energy in your subconscious, and you need to use subliminals to rewire your subconscious mind. I would also recommend reading Carl Jung. He is one of the fathers of modern psychology. He has his own, like, it's Jungian philosophy. I love Jung. I don't care for Freud, but Jung I bang with heavy. Women Who Run with the Wolves will be helpful for any of us of whatever gender or sex we identify with. 11211. And also I would recommend, my workbooks. Booking a session with me. I can only help folks so much in these live group sessions. So Protect Your Soul, Obsidian. I'm predicting a lot of effed up things happening in the social world this week. A lot. Like, this is the moment that we've been waiting for. And I'm telling you that collectively we have hit a turning point where the aggregate is like going to be so discombobulated. When the chaos truly hits, because it is being birthed right now, the chaos, the storm. For us, we're on the other side of the storm already. Okay? But in this 3D world, that's because we're in the higher dimensions. We're up in 4D, we're up in 5D. You know what I mean? And we are making that here on Earth. But in the 3D world, this is why I said last week, like, some people, when you vibrate higher, some people will never, ever, you'll never see them again. Or if they do, 𝗪ci𝗪𝗧 talked about this. She's been talking about this 1331 on the timer, 333 as well. 𝗪ci𝗪𝗧 has been talking about this for over a month now. Like, we're going to literally look different. People are not going to recognize us. And somebody in my community was saying the same thing. She was like that a bunch of people saw her, didn't recognize her. When I moved back to New York, people I've known since I was like a teeny bopper, since I was like 20 years old, see me, they do not recognize me because I have changed. And the energy I exude, my aura has changed. because I've done so much work on myself. And don't you know that when your physiology, when you heal your trauma or when you experience trauma, it physiologically changes you, and that shit shows up in your face. Not just like, oh, you look haggard because you now developed like wrinkles and shit. Like, it's like the shape of your eyes, like the shape of your nose, the shape of your lips, your ears. These things will change physiologically. If it changes due to trauma, it can change due to healing. Some people, you will look younger than you ever looked before and more juvenescent than you ever looked before because you no longer have that weight hanging on you. I gotta text someone. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I sounded like Mickey Mouse just now. But yeah, so expect that like what's happening in the 3D does not change anything about what you know is happening for you in your life and your mission. So don't make choices out of fear and don't choose trauma responses. I'll tell you what, if you book self-sovereignty advising and cosmic wellness coaching with me, you also have, you get my number and you can text me and call me and I can like help you with decision making in the moment. That's just the thing that I'm letting folks know. But you know, I think that it's really important to check the astrology every single day. That's why I started checking astrology every day. That's why I got as good as I got very quickly, because I would check it and interpret it every single day. And I have astrology on my Substack if y'all want to subscribe to that. But check the astrology every single day because the energy is super intense right now. Like I said, we have Saturn retrograde in Pisces. As long as Saturn is retrograde, shit is going to feel hard because our shadow, especially in Pisces, our shadow is being purged. The worst things that you have not wanted to deal with since last retrograde, especially like the worst things that you don't want to deal with, those things are being purged right now. Because Pisces, like I said, is ruled by Neptune. It is the planet of marriage, divine union, divinity, but it's also the planet of shadows because polarity, right? Secrets, the occult, what's hidden. Honestly, I think people associate the occult more so with Scorpio, but it's all water. So, but what's done in the dark is coming to light. That's one thing, but you might not see that. You might think that that means disclosure on the news. That's not what it's about. This is disclosure. Like, more and more people are awakening. People are going to be like, I don't believe that anymore, because they see through it at this point in time. So there is a mass awakening. Don't think that it's not happening, because it is. And you can see it on social media that it is. More people than ever are coming to the right side, not left or right. I don't play that game, but coming to the side of righteousness, coming to the side of justice, coming to the side of love. More people than ever are waking up and taking off the fucking rosy sunglasses and are starting to see the world for what it really is. And more than ever, they are choosing to align with what's right as opposed to what is easy. It's really easy to go along with shit. It's a lot harder to be willing to say, I'm not gonna do that. Okay? So, with Pluto at 1 degrees in Aquarius and it's moving back into Capricorn, we start the week with Pluto retrograde at 1 degrees in Aquarius in the 9th house. It's going to move into Capricorn next month in August. But while it is in Aquarius, I feel like when it moves, because the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus and Saturn, specifically with Uranus being in Taurus, when Pluto retrograde, Pluto is a planet of personal power. When it moves back into Capricorn next month, we are going to see the manifestation of so much wealth. It's going to be the payoff. And I'm not just talking about money and things like this. You have to know, like, where the wealth comes from. If all you treasure in life is money, you're not even going to be good at manifestation to begin with. Because frankly, if you're good at manifestation, you don't even really need money, because people are going to give you shit for free all the time. You know what I mean? And honestly, like, opportunities, like, oh, I want money to buy land. Why not just manifest the land? Why not just manifest somebody who has land and wants to give it to me to use for whatever I want? And I don't have to pay property taxes on that land. I don't have to come out of pocket. I don't have to do anything. Make life easier on yourself with your manifestations, right? Manifestations are going to be coming much more quickly because we are coming into divine union. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you are holding on to past narratives, if you are holding on to anything that is disempowering, you are still attached to these old timelines where you have been victimized, where you are not victorious, where you are not, you have not come into your power, then you're still holding on. Then you're still holding on and you're still stuck to that. And by rights, the energies there will have the power to attack you. So if you're feeling like a lot of friction and a lot of tension and a lot of, like, you're coming up against a lot of conflict this coming week, it's because this is to tell you, I gotta shadow work this. I gotta get to a place of being okay. I gotta get to a place of acceptance so that I can be in connection with the flow of all that is, the flow of life and unconditional love, and I can be carried on to where I'm supposed to be. Don't let anything that's happening in the news get you out of your bag. Don't let anything get you out of your pillar of light. Don't let anything get you out of your sovereignty, your consciousness. Don't let that happen. I don't care. They don't win ever. We are already victorious in the highest of realms. We are already victorious in the spirit world. All they can do is use illusions to try to trick us so that we will then co-create chaos. But know that anything that's happening in the 3D realm that's it's just purging from the higher realms. So you have to stay up. What's happening around me right now, this is the past. I'm living in the future, so the present is my past. My presence is a present, kiss my ass, right? Your presence is a present, light worker. Your present is a presence. Your presence is a present, rainbow warrior. Your presence is a present. Okay, I'm not going to say starseed because a lot of starseeds, their presence is not a present. 1, 2, 3 on the timer. So understand that, embody that. Just because something is happening around you does not give you license to step out of your code. Because what did Dostoevsky say? Your worst sin is that you betrayed and destroyed yourself for nothing. What can they give you that is worth more than your fulfillment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the timer. Ask yourself that, because if you're not fulfilled and you have all the money in the world, what does that matter? My mom grew up with a lot of money, and she was never fulfilled and she was never happy. And guess what she did? Shop until she dropped. And I didn't grow up with anything in terms. I mean, there were things we had, but you know what I mean. So you got to ask yourself, in the moment, ask yourself these questions. Is this worth my peace? Is this worth my serenity? Is this worth my life? Because when you choose to center whatever the fuck shit they got going on, when you choose to center it, you're no longer central to your life, and that becomes central. And they've taken your life from you. Imagine how much time and energy you have invested into other things that have not invested into you anything good. How much time and energy did you invest in that? Which means you took that time and energy from yourself, because you could have been, right? I wonder how much further along I would have been if I hadn't spent so much time people pleasing. I wonder about that. But there's no point in having any regret, because obviously everything that happened had to happen. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. I needed to learn my lesson all those times. I needed to have my ass beat by the universe because I was hard-headed and I didn't listen. The first time something happened, I didn't learn my lesson. And also karma. There's a lot more to it than that. It's not black and white. There's a lot more to it than that. It's a much more complicated equation. It's not A plus B equals C. It's more like, it's a lot more complicated. Let's leave it at that. But that all being said, in this time, I want you to ask yourself that every decision you make, is it worth my peace? Is it worth my serenity? Is it worth my life force? If you're sitting down and ruminating and you get the perspective enough to be like, whoa, wait, I'm ruminating right now. Is this thing worth my life force, my attention, and my energy? Do I want to amplify this energy and give more of my power to it so then there's more of it in my life? Probably not. 𝗪𝗻, upgrade your version of you. That's what I was saying. Self-concept subliminals, and doing that shadow work. What do you deserve? A lot of you think that you don't deserve very much. You don't even realize how low self-esteem coded some of our actions are. Sometimes we don't realize it till we get to the other side and we're like, dang, that's crazy that I used to do that. But you got to stop, okay? You got to stop. You got to turn, you got to turn it around at some point. Sorry. I will say that we have Pluto retrograde at 1 degrees in Aquarius in the 9th house, making an opposition to Venus in Leo in the 3rd house. I feel like for me, this is saying, like, this is highlighting how we need to let go of things that no longer serve us. Yeah, you might have wanted, I'll tell you what, I never wanted the friendships and relationships that I am no contact with. I never wanted those relationships to end. It took me so long to end those relationships because I didn't want them to end. And I kept being delusional and sitting there hoping that these people would suddenly change and be what I needed them to be. And they never did. And they were never going to. You know what I mean? And I had to be the one to say no more. I had to be the one to shift the narrative into a different direction because we weren't going around that cycle again. Because what I want is not that person necessarily. What I want is what I was making, the role that I wanted to put them in, that's what I want. And I wanted them to be that. For whatever reason, maybe I didn't want to be alone. Maybe I didn't want to wait. I didn't have patience. Maybe I was told that this person was supposed to be that, so I wanted to make them that. You know, we each have our own reasons and every specific dynamic why, but that's for you to figure out in your story and to work through in your story and to heal through and to forgive. To forgive doesn't mean that you go back into those relationships. It means that you accept it for what it is and you can channel unconditional love. It's no longer ruling you, but I would recommend these karmics don't go back. When I have people, like, when I can pick up on karmics being like, oh, I'm so sorry about this or that, you know, whatever. I'll see you on the other side if I see you on the other side. I'll meet you in New Earth and then tell me you're sorry. And beyond that, I'll meet you in New Earth and then you can show me that you're sorry. You can prove to me by earning my trust that you're sorry. But do not go back to karmic relationships in this time, especially not now. I'm seeing a spider. They're trying to get you caught up in their webs. Are dolphins psychic? They use 𝗪 as a weapon. Yes, they do. Probably some of them. Probably some of them are. And whales too. Because dolphins and whales are mammals. So, yeah. Yeah. Their dolphin frequencies are very helpful in healing. I actually would recommend listening to whale frequencies because it's going to help us to get rid of the manic frequencies. I do feel like there's going to be manic energy in the collective. There's going to be a lot of chaotic energy and manic energy in the collective, and we need to ground. That's them. That's the people who are not sovereign, the zombies, the whites, that's White Walkers. The White Walkers army is called 𝗪𝗪𝘁. They're basically the frozen zombies that they like not reincarnate, but they control. So I would say that the controllers, the adversaries, they are the White Walkers and their little army. The NPCs are the whites. But you can also call them zombies because that's what they are. They're the living dead, basically. And they are just perpetuating all of this trauma because they have no sovereignty. Their chakra systems are completely overridden. And yeah, as I said, the karma is going to hit like really hard. Y'all may have heard me say in previous lives, I feel like it was a few months ago, or maybe like last month or so. It was a few months ago. I said that like when it gets to New Earth time, the karma of the people like who are refusing to upgrade is just going to hurt so badly. But even as we upgrade, there might be parts, because remember, I talk about this in the chart. We have 12 different signs. We have 12 different houses. The houses represent different realms of our life. Maybe in your social life, you are really excelling, but in your love life, you still are karmic, maybe, right? So you're going to want to do shadow work around that, because wherever you are still behaving karmically, and it all starts in your mindset. It all starts in your consciousness. You know what I mean? So you have to be about what you say you're about. Be about your principles. If you say that you believe in all this stuff that we believe in, then you believe that we're victorious in Christ. You believe that we're victorious in our mission. You believe that the war is already won, 13311. You believe that the war is already won. You need to believe in your powers and you need to walk through life like that. Fake it till you make it. Because that's the way that you program your external matrix. You program your field. You program your matrix. And if you're vibrating so high that these energies cannot be around you anymore, they will eventually feel that on you. 13344. They'll feel that on you. Just like one of my mentors says, sharks smell the blood in the water. And she's talking about people who have been victimized by narcissistic abuse. Other narcs can tell when you are unhealed and they can latch onto you. And that's why a lot of us go through those cycles over and over again. But if you decide like you're not going to put up with it anymore, you program your matrix by like this thing comes. It is attracted to you, not because you attracted it, because that is still in your body, in your field. This thing comes to you and you say, nope, you're not doing it. They're making you an offer and you're like, I can't refuse. You can refuse. So say no. And it might feel like so foreign and so uncomfortable. Do it anyway, and do it over and over and over again. And you teach the external matrix, and you also, the universe, the material universe, the electromagnetic field, you teach it, don't send me that shit again. But even when it comes, it passes you right by because you see it immediately and you're just like, no, thank you. They can smell that on you. People will know that you're not one to play with. I used to wonder why, like, I didn't get hit on as much as like certain friends that I had when I was like younger and stuff like that. And when I started realizing, when I started studying cis dynamics, like in romance, because as I explained already, I'm on the spectrum. I wasn't raised by Americans, and I don't identify as being like, I identify as being non-binary. So I really didn't understand like why people behaved the way that they did in this culture. It didn't make sense. But I spent last year studying these dynamics that like people have, and I came to understand people could see on me the way that people assumed it's a projection, but they assumed like I can't afford to date this person. So like a lot of guys like and people my age would like not like, it's like, I know you're attracted to me. Like I know that you are. Like what is going on? But and I'm feeling you and you know that, but you're choosing this person. And I used to think that there was something wrong with me. No, it's because they felt like they couldn't be with me because they were like, oh, that person, I'm gonna have to spend a lot of money on them. Or I've also had it like where they just weren't ready to stop being immature and young. And I've had people I could tell were trying to like keep me on ice, for later when they're more mature and ready. And it's like, bitch, I'll be married by then. The fuck? But yeah, basically what I'm saying is when you start carrying yourself with respect and dignity, and when you stop responding to every little thing that comes, like every little external stimuli, when you stop going to places and spaces where certain energies hang out, you're not gonna deal with that stuff anymore. And they're gonna know not to approach you. Just like when, like, if you look like you have money and you're walking down the street, or you go out, you leave a bank, people who beg for money are going to ask you for money because they think that you have money. That just makes sense, right? Go wait in front of the bank because that's where I'm going to be able to find someone who definitely has money. They might have a few dollars they can throw me. That's the logic behind that. So if you're carrying yourself with your shoulders sloped down and you're just like that, if you carry yourself and you look like you have low self-esteem, people are going to assume that you do, and they're going to treat you like that. You're going to keep going around and around and around until you change that up. So upgrade your version of you. Don't focus on what's going on outside. Focus on you. Your energy changes the electromagnetic field. And if you have a very big energy because you are of a higher vibration, that you incarnated, you descended down the mortal coil and incarnated here, you have much more power. This is what we call ranking. It is the intensity of your energy. I am a very intense person. You can feel me. You can just feel me from a mile away. My energy can set the tone for a room. I cannot hide how I feel. I can try, but I never will be able to, because that's how powerful my energy is. People of lower rankings, the aggregate, mundanes, they don't have that same power. That's what star power is about. That's why they specifically look for people like us to make into celebrities. And that's why they SA them. And that's why they get them hooked on substances, to be able to control their energy, to leverage and exploit their energy and their power, their frequency, their intensity. You don't need to go out and fix anyone. We started with this conversation. You don't need to fix anyone. You need to fix yourself. I'm saying you, the royal you. I'm talking about me too. I'm part of this collective. This week, I'm going to focus on what I need to focus on. What do I need to do? I have resentments that I need to resolve. I have shadow work that I need to do. I need to sit down and write my standards for certain things. I have things that I need to do. It's not me just telling y'all what y'all got to do. We all are in this together. Why can't good people rule the earth? This is they have agency to rule here, but it's changing. We are doing it. We are here to do it. You're here to do it. So if you don't get sovereign and you don't get in your power, then yeah, good people won't rule the earth. Part of the problem is a lot of good people think that like being humble and meek and mild is letting people treat you like a doormat. No, it's not. Being humble is being right size. If I sit here and I pretend that I'm not as powerful as I am, that's not being humble, that's lying. Humility is telling the truth. I am that I am. I am more than a goddess on earth. I am an aeon. I'm not a celestial. I am an aeon. I have a real big rank. My shamans, every single shaman has told me that. So if you're gonna like 411414 on the timer, if we're gonna sit here and not claim our sovereignty and our power because we're afraid of what others are gonna do, that's why good people can't rule the earth. Also, evil people are willing to do evil things in order to secure their power. And a lot of times people who feel like they are good, they're not willing to do what's necessary. I personally think that eradicating that class of people who are doing the most harm is not getting rid of them is much worse sin than getting rid of them. Because by not getting rid of them, we are hurting more of the planet itself, the animals, and most of the humans. But if we actually got rid of them, we'd be able to save the earth. But that's bad. Is it really? Is it really bad? What's bad about that? You're going to allow massive harm to happen. They're never going to stop, ever. I think allowing them to go unchecked is actually way, way worse. And a lot of people who think that they're good aren't willing to admit to the truth. Angels are warriors. They have battle scars. They carry weapons. If we're warriors, why aren't we waging war back? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't want to admit. Karma for karmics. They've had their chance, but they're not going to stick around. Trust me. But the thing that you need to worry about is getting into your power. Because how are we supposed to rule the earth if you're not 333 on the timer, if you're not in your power? If you're not training. Me and my cousin used to practice telepathy on one another. We would send messages to one another. We would do spells together. That's my cousin on my mom's side. From our grandmother was an initiated priestess. My dad would communicate with me telepathically. My nephew has read my mind. 144 on the timer. And he knows that he can read minds. He's done it multiple times to me and to his mom. He knows that he can do it. So that little boy needs to be trained. Are you training in your powers? You got to sit down and think about who you want to be and become them. And it needs to be contingent upon your power. I have a workbook that would be very helpful. You can email me if you want access to it. With Venus and Mercury here in Leo, in the sign of Leo in the 3rd house. Let me look at what's happening this week and just make sure. 14. The moon will be in Sagittarius, the moon will be in Capricorn, and the moon will be in Gemini on the 21st, which is a week from now. Next Sunday, we have the Capricorn full moon opposing the sun in Cancer. So this is going to be a very emotional week. We're going through hardcore purging, y'all. Like, to come into our power. All of the programming that's being purged out of us this week. So expect it when it comes up. If you feel like you're getting attacked this week, in a way you are, but also understand when these things are being purged out of you, they usually will fight back. So I would recommend also listening to frequencies that are protective. I would recommend listening to frequencies that disable them, that disarm them. I would recommend, like, don't freak out when these things are coming up. Every single night you need to cleanse. Every single time you take a shower, you need to, after you bathe your body, pour salt water all over you. Every single time. Okay? Full moon Capricorn, no. When I was working in a session, that was the last time I did an exorcism, and I had like the craziest, like, this is what I was saying. As a sober person, my DOC was 420, as you were saying. And I don't do it anymore because it interferes with my powers and it makes me susceptible to energies that I don't want to engage with. And I'm never more powerful than as a sober person. And so I stopped doing 420. Yay. See you there. I stopped doing 420. I didn't want to by any stretch of the imagination. I tried it out for 90 days and I was like, whoa. This is it. This is it. This is the bee's knees. I wouldn't have ever been able to do the level of shadow work that I've done on myself to get to this power. Okay, to get to this amplification of power if I hadn't. So, but last week I was having cravings so badly. It wasn't that I was craving that. It was because I was in so much pain. I hadn't been in that level of emotional pain since I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I experienced serious SI. Like, it was really bad. I genuinely did not think that I was going to be able to graduate high school because I was in so much pain. Because my environment was so chaotic and toxic and abusive. That the only thing, and I asked for help. My family knew that I was extremely depressed. They are very sick though. And I even had, I told my mom I thought I had ADHD and she screamed at me. I was very, very sick and I haven't experienced that much pain because I was shadow working. Something was surfacing to be cleared from that time period. And I didn't clear it before, so I cleared it now. Did I pick up even though I desperately wanted to? No, I didn't. I showed up and I faced it head on and I did the work. Free. It took me a week and a half. Oh my God, it was so painful. I didn't think I was going to make it through. I really was telling people this grief is going to kill me. I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. But look at me. I'm here. I'm still bad AF, living my best life, allegedly. I didn't have to pick up. and I faced it and I worked through it. I processed it. I distilled it. That's what we do with shadow work. It's alchemy. I distilled it, and the shadow went wherever it had to go. And the wisdom is the wealth that remains. And I got myself back. Myself was being held hostage, and I got it back. You're going to want to do cord removals. AF. You're going to want to do cord removals. I cannot stress this enough. If you do energetic cord removals, fine. But I would really recommend, like, actually, if you are a magical, supernatural being, and if you have the authority to do magic, I would recommend doing magic. Because some of these people have bound themselves to you using magic, and you're going to need magic to get rid of it. Energetic cords, sure, and that's usually true with mundanes. But even if this is a person who's magical and they pretend like they don't actually do magic, but they like are magical, everything you do is magical. So that amplification, the connection between you need to remove cords. I recommend multiple days this week. We have Monday, that's the moon day. That's a good day to remove cords. Mardi, mercredi, jeudi. So Mars Day, Mercury Day, Jupiter Day, Venus Day, Saturn Day, Sun Day. Okay, so Monday, Friday, and Saturday are going to be really good days to remove cords. And I would really recommend this week, center your spiritual practice. And every single one of you, anyone whose eyes cross this video, especially if you're watching it when I'm recording it, I want you to look at the date correspondences and shadow work that aspect, that energy in your life. Center that. Because especially if you are of a higher magnitude, you do it on yourself, 5115 mirroring. You do it on yourself, you're doing it for the collective. And we need this. They need this. Us coming into our power is what is getting them to wake up. Don't sleep on how much healing yourself. Don't worry about anyone else. You cannot make a horse drink. They will chomp your fingers off, or they will smash your head with their hoof. Try it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Don't end up getting hurt fucking around and trying to force a horse to do something that they don't want to do. Protect your soul, upgrade your version of yourself. What was the other card that we had? Escape your mind with Lemurian quartz. Some of you, you're Lemurian, and you're Lemurian, you're being contacted by the Lemurian collective, and I would recommend to you to do some intentional work with them, but cast a circle around yourself. Cast a circle of protection around yourself before you do that. This is a time that if you don't know how to intentionally do that stuff, you can't just, I cannot stress this enough. Y'all think that you can just fight magic with energy. You can't. And the adversary is using extremely malevolent magics. You need to use the most sacred, divine magics to counteract what they're doing. If you are elven, if you are siren, mermaid, fae, dragon, what have you, stop pretending that it's not what it is. Personally, I don't care what a mundane has to say, because the lion doesn't care about what the sheep has to say. Also, the shepherd doesn't. The sheep may be, I want you to take me to this field because that's where the yummy grass is. But the shepherd knows that there are coyotes in that field. The shepherd is not going to go to that field just because that's what the sheep want. You see so many animals, like pets, who are extremely unhealthy, and they die really uncomfortable deaths because their owners spoiled them and didn't give them what they needed. You see a lot of people who are out here acting the way that they act because they never got the discipline that they needed in life. 5353 on the timer. You have to discipline yourself to not give a damn what anybody thinks. Your soul family believes it. Your soul tribe believes it. Those of us who are really here for one another, we believe it. It's not going to be everybody. It's like 1% of us, the true 1%. It's 144,000. Most people that you meet are not going to be on that type of time. That's just got to be okay. We get 𝗪cie𝗶𝗶 from your heart out. Tektite, raise your vibration. That's what I'm saying. Celestite. We got a lot of celestite. Tune into your serenity. Deepen your perspective with kyanite. And last, dive into your dreams with 𝗪liche. Okay? Oh, this wants to come out too. Citrine, manifest your masterpiece. This looks like my smoky quartz, right? So, like I said, family, they agree. It's a really big deal. We have a lot of white, we have a lot of gray, we have a lot of blue, and we have a lot of green. The spirit world is definitely going to be contacting us, trying to get in touch with us. The veil is very thin. If you are like being contacted by spirits, if you're having a lot of interactions in your dreams, if you are having a lot of you might have a lot of visitations in your dreams from passed on loved ones, and your ancestors, your angels, your spirit guides are going to be contacting you a lot. I would recommend to you, don't overload your to-do list, because you're not gonna get a lot of it done. Prioritize getting one thing done well a day, because we're going to be away with the fairies. Those of us who are who have psionic abilities, you're going to be away with the fairies. So I would really recommend to you to only, if you have a desk job, know that you're only going to get one thing done a day, and make that the priority. Use your frequencies, babes. Use your frequencies, which I would say is your focus frequencies, and get that self-concept subliminal list together. Figure out who you want to be, make a subliminal playlist, and listen to that shit every day. I go to sleep listening to subliminals. I have my morning subliminal playlist. People probably wonder why I'm always listening to these fucking little short blips of music that definitely doesn't seem like music that I would listen to. It's because I'm listening to subliminals. Every single day, I listen to my subliminals. I would make new playlists for every single month. I have safety subs that have frequencies that fragment and scatter energies that I don't want to engage with, that help me in all different types of ways. I have ones to manifest delicious food, because that's what makes me happy. My life, my most fulfilling life, is one in which I get to spend as much money on food as I want, and also people give me free food, and it's so delicious. So yes, I have at least 10 different subliminals in my dream life that are about manifesting delicious food. Are some people going to think that that's crazy? Probably. I don't give a fuck, because I eat good, bitch. I eat the fuck good. You know what I mean? I had to listen to a lot of subliminals. A lot of the ones that I listen to and I've been listening to lately are about radical acceptance, radical forgiveness, letting go of the past, mitigating and controlling your anger, things like that. Also, self-love, self-acceptance, having a positive mind state, because the reality is a lot of my physical health issues are byproducts of my trauma. Having bad gut health is because of the trauma that I experienced growing up. And I had to reprogram my subconscious mind. So yes, I work with my therapist. Yes, I worked with my EFT clinician. Yes, I take meds. I do recovery. I do the healing, right? And I also reprogram my subconscious mind using subliminals. So if you want to write this down, I would recommend grow from your heart out, 𝗪cie𝗶𝗴. You're going to want to do a lot of heart healing work. We're going to experience a lot of heart healing. Our hearts are purging out any of the shadows. The sooner that you let go of that timeline on which you were hurt, the betrayal timelines mainly is what we've been purging. This is why Lilith was coming up a lot, because Lilith was betrayed. The divine feminine being betrayed by the masculine who tried to rape her. Who tried to SA her. That is the deepest betrayal. And what did she do? She went off and she became karmic. That's a lot of what we've been processing and healing. This is why a lot has been coming up with the vampires and the vampiric contracts. This is what we've been healing. So betrayal may have been coming up a lot for you. Do the heart healing work. Pull those cords, cleanse that energy, astral project to your heart chakra, ask for help, especially Archangel Jophiel. Anna Core. When I had Twitter, I knew her on Twitter, but Anna Core is part of the Jophiel collective. If she's not the Jophiel oversoul, you should go work with her. I would recommend. She's actually incredibly talented. Working with her helped me to let go of so much baggage around my family of origin trauma. See, I'm not a hater, so I'll recommend other healers, especially because I'm not really trying to do energy work all that much right now. I'll do it, but I'm not trying to do do exorcisms right now. I will do it, but I'd rather not. So I will recommend you to people that I've worked with that I know are so talented. Anna's a little bit expensive, so it's good to get her when she has a sale going on. Epidote, upgrade your version of yourself, of you. You got to get that down. Write that down. Protect your soul, obsidian. Raise your vibration, tektite. I am encouraging you to get your black tourmaline and carry it around, because the entities are body jumping. Demons try to body jump, just like Frank Ocean said. He's like, that's why I'm in the club wearing a yarmulke. That's why I wear a hat everywhere I go. I'm either wearing a hat or a wig. That'll protect you too. Like, I'll wear sunglasses and I'll cover my face. Better for you to not know what's going on over here. Better for me to be covered up. I would encourage you to wear obsidian around your throat as a necklace, because it will protect your throat chakra, your high heart, and your heart chakra. The heart chakra is the gateway to the high heart chakra. You can't get to the high heart chakra, which is the seat of our conscious, that's the crystalline seat in our matrix. And that's what we are activating, to activate our power. Our powers in our heart chakra. If you come across this video, you're probably a crystalline, you're probably a rainbow warrior. You might be, I mean, not all indigos are going to vibe with this. I think I'm going to have more messages for indigos around the 8/8 Lionsgate portal, but right now I'm specifically really talking to crystallines and rainbow children, unicorns, fae, andromedans, and also I'm going to let y'all know this. A lot of Pleiadians, 2, 3, 4, a lot of Pleiades was actually like overridden, and a lot of Pleiadians are the kinds of people who seem really nice on the surface, but they are actually deep down really not good. These are people who spiritually bypass. And that's not all of them, but people are always like, oh my God, Pleiades. The ANNUNAKI are from Pleiades. Don't ever forget that. Tune into your serenity with celestite. I really would encourage y'all to be doing grounding meditations. Go out in the sun and charge your body with the sun. Kyanite, deepen your perspective about you, navel gazing, meditating on yourself, and asking your angels, ancestors, great gods and guides to help you to get through this. Sometimes some things like hurt so badly that I was just like, I need y'all to help me. Tell me what I have to do. 2, 3, 4 on the timer. Tell me what I have to do, because I can't take this. And they did. They gave me the answers that I was looking for. If I can't deal with this on my own, I'm quick to give up and give it up to God in prayer. And praying for me is also just talking, because I straddle the line. I'm a gatekeeper. I'm living in between worlds. So I'm always talking to the spirit realms. Right, Lemurian courts, escape your mind. Don't get caught up in misery helixes. Don't get caught up in the divine traps. Don't get caught up in karmic cycles. They are trying to get you out of pocket. Let it go. If your money's fucked up this week, let it go. You're abundant. You're going to get everything handed to you that you need. If you're stressing, go to your subliminal playlist. If you're stressed out about money, listen to your subliminal playlist on repeat until you're not stressed out about money anymore. Go take a shower, eat a snack, sunbathe, journal, stop stressing. It's not as simple as I'm not going to be stressed out anymore. You got to do what you got to do to get yourself out of it, because it's highly magnetic for those of us who've gone through trauma. But do what you got to do. Don't be entitled and think, oh, I'm just going to never go down this road. Why is it so hard for me? Because it is, because you have a really big anointing and you have more power. That's why it's so hard for you. That's why they come after you so hard. And the sooner that you just accept it and try to do what you can to mitigate that issue, the sooner that your life is going to be better. My material circumstances may not be exactly what I want them to be, but guess what? My life is the best it's ever been. Why? Because I'm no longer crazy with trauma. I'm no longer in these horrible relationships where I'm being treated like trash because I don't have self-esteem. I'm no longer allowing people that I love to manipulate me, to lie to me. And I'm sitting here knowing you're lying because I can fucking read your mind and your energy. And just like Dostoevsky said, your greatest sin was that you destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing, because my hands are empty. All those people are capable of doing is taking and draining. Why? Because they've got the disease of vampirism. And it loves to hide behind people with a lot of light. That's what I'm telling you about those Pleiadians, that ass. A lot of starseeds have betrayed their mission, and a lot of people are losing rank right now. You think that the people who hurt you are not getting their asses handed to them? If you're getting it and you know that you've done the things that you were supposed to do, I guarantee you that they're getting it handed to them. Why do you think that the adversary is going so hard right now? Because they know what's coming for them. When Saturn hits Capricorn, shit's going off, y'all. I swear. I'll do a reading for that on here at some point, but shit's going down. And you better be in your power when it happens. We've been going through this because we've been being prepared to receive our power in full. If you can't even handle the little amount of power that you have right now, you're not being given your divine inheritance. You're not coming into union because you're not letting go of karma. You got to let go. So do not fall for their tricks. Mercury retrograde is coming up. We're coming into the shadow period. Let me check. Chiron retrograde starts in 12 days. And so things are going to be coming up. Mercury retrograde starts on the 5th of August. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 29th. So the 22nd is when the shadow period officially starts. That is next Monday. That's the official beginning, but energy is spectral, so we're already feeling it. When these people start coming back, you might feel them thinking about you, pulling on your energy a lot. Let me tell you something, just because somebody's thinking about you, especially lustfully, that doesn't mean that they actually want you back. They want to use you again. They want to exploit you again. They're thirsty and you're juicy. That's all. They're hungry and you're nourishing. They realize that the grass wasn't greener. They realize that these other hoes out here, it's like eating a handful of sugar and they're starving. But I guarantee you that 90% of these people, as soon as they get their fill, they're going to leave the table again. And you're going to have to pick up the pieces and you're going to be angrier because the greatest sin is that you destroyed yourself and betrayed yourself for nothing when you knew better. Right? Manifest your masterpiece. Masterpiece. And dive into your dreams. So we are coming into divine union. It's going to be, little by slowly. It might be getting an offer of some kind, getting approval of some kind. It might not be the whole big thing, because I do sense that we are, I've heard it's going to change. Everything's going to change overnight, but I think that it's really like that we're working towards something. The offer might come in and you say yes, or you say whatever you say, and then that's going to change your entire trajectory. That's more so what I think it's going to be. Let's talk about money matters. Money matters for the collective. Money matters. I really have to use the restroom. And I really have to drink some water. I'm a little bit dehydrated. So y'all stay hydrated right now. I would also recommend, a lot of the folks that I've been talking to have been feeling the same way. There's something in the air. It's heavy. The energy has been super chaotic, and beyond chaotic, it's edgy and it's like aggy. It's like very sharp, edgy energy, combative. I have felt like not going outside for the most part. By the time I get back inside, I'm pissed off. It's not just about being overstimulated. It's like what Prince said. I definitely feel there is something in the air. And I would recommend, until Cancer season ends, just stay close to home as much as you can, because that's just what I would recommend. And also, you save money that way. I would recommend, my teacher told us, like, you really need to limit how much you eat out, because the spirits that their ancestors, the spirits that don't get fed by their progeny, their descendants, they will like eat the spirit of the food, like at restaurants or at on the street, and then like throw up on it spiritually, and it can make you sick that way. This is also true. They will people's energy in food can have an impact. The energy gets put into the food. Like, some people, will be like, oh, I don't like when this aunt makes the potato salad. Or like, some people, you just can feel the energy in their food. It's like not loving, it's not nourishing. Try not to eat out this week. I'm so serious. Like, that is coming through big time. Try not to eat out. Like, limit how much interacting after dark you're doing. Because spirit try to body jump, the Hanged Man. Like I said, I do feel like right now there might be challenges with money. There might be, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Sam T, thank you for being here at so many of my lives and sticking through them. Yeah, soul fragmentation, dissociation. Why can't the angels come to Earth? Because they can't come in their bodies because the frequency of the planet cannot sustain that, one. And two, to see an angel in its form is basically marking you for death. Like, you will die to see an angel in its form. So they manifest through people. That's what Earth angels are. Angels who descended down the moral coil to our highest vibrational frequency that can manifest on Earth. That's why we have awakenings, because the more that Earth can hold our frequency, the higher that we can vibrate and the brighter that we can shine, essentially. So that's why we are here on Earth. You're here on Earth. Like I said, the oversoul of the 𝗪𝗱 collective, 𝗪tože, is incarnate here on Earth. And we had to go through a lot of these. We had to witness how it is on Earth for ourselves. I've told this story about Azazel and another angel. I think it's from the book of Enoch. So that's technically apocryphal. I believe that the book of Enoch, it's not Talmudic, but it's of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Book of Giants, the Book of Enoch. Yeah. But they were talking to God and they were like, look at the other angels who went down to Earth and been corrupted. We would never do that. We are so much stronger than them. And then God was like, you don't know what it's like for us to go down there. You have no idea what it's like down there. If you went down there, you'd understand. It's not their fault. And so they were like, we're going to go down there. And what do we know happened to Azazel? Isn't he the angel that they chained in the Judean desert to send all of their sins to on Yom Kippur? Because he was so bad. He did the worst of what the rebellious angels did. And there were waves of rebellions. It's not just one rebellion. There were waves of angels coming to Earth and doing things that they weren't supposed to do. They knew they weren't supposed to do it. That's another reason why I know exactly who I can be with. I can't be with mundanes. I can't. And it's forbidden. We're not supposed to. Which is probably another reason why I'm not attracted to mundanes. But he taught the humans warcraft. And that was the worst thing. Apparently, and metallurgy. Apparently teaching them how to misuse magics wasn't that bad. That's another thing. Like, if you're not authorized to use magic, you should never get interested in it. Never do it. If you don't have psychic abilities, do yourself a favor and don't try to manifest them, because this is not an easy life. Like I said, when I went through my first real awakening, it was one of the worst experiences of my life. What are the elements in their spiritual form? I'm a water elemental, a mami wata. Elementals are fae, fairy, elemental, diva. Those are all the same thing in different cultures. In my culture, we call them energies, but that's what they are. The spirit of the water usually is not incarnate, but it can incarnate. These are the orishas. These are the deities. That's what we call ethereals. Celestials are incarnates of celestial bodies. So if you identify as a celestial, you probably are you could be a celestial if you're from Venus, if your soul originated in Venus. But you're not like the oversoul of your collective. You would be in that soul group, but the oversoul of your collective, what happens to your oversoul happens then to you. And that's why if you are an oversoul, if you are a shepherd in that way, it is your responsibility to your collective to cancel all curses, to heal all trauma, so that you put a stop in the higher realms, because you go to the higher realms. They can't. You have to put a stop in every dimension from the 3D up that you can access. You bring your knowledge from above down to the 3D to break the curse, because you know it up there. Your higher self is guiding you. Break the curse and liberate your collective. So then this evil shit is not happening anymore. Okay? The Hanged Man. Money's tight because people are not really making money. People are not really having a lot of progress. Don't worry about that. Don't focus on that. What you want to focus on is amplifying your creativity and living in your purpose. Karma. All that you sow, you will reap. That's not just about bad things. It's about good things too. The universe has no choice but to. The universe is an equation, essentially, the material universe. It doesn't think, I don't like you, so I'm not going to give you this. You get what you put out, or you get the energy. What you put out might be energy on you because of how you incarnated. Or you might have, been in the wrong place at the wrong time or crossed paths with the wrong person, and then they decide to put witchcraft on you or something. And your part of it is that you didn't do whatever's necessary to break the curse. You need to be willing to go to any length to get free. Spiritual abolition, that's what we're doing over here. You need to be willing to go to any length to get free. So, if you don't, then that's your part in it. That's your karma. Your karma is that you will live cursed until you break the curse. So collective, a lot of our money has been being attacked. A lot of our money has been tied up. These spells are disintegrating. And this week, it's not really going to be popping like that, but it will, trust me. The Tower in reverse. It's not as bad. What you think is going on is not as bad as it seems. The catastrophe that you're so afraid of is not necessarily happening. Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom in order to build your best foundation. Just stop trying to fight against it and allow yourself to hit bottom so that you can know what it is that you're meant to be learning. Knight of Swords, don't get any funny ideas right now. Five of Cups in reverse, the Empress in reverse, Nine of Wands, Two of Pentacles. Yeah, they're trying to keep you from coming into divine union with, they're trying to keep you from coming into divine union. They're trying to have you be at war with yourself. Right now, we really need to be in our sanctuaries, focusing on ourselves. The city of Sodom. That's one of my favorite stories. Yeah. The destruction, don't worry about what's happening out there, because those of us who are doing what's right in here, we're gonna be like Lot. We're not gonna have to deal with that stuff. Every time something bad hits, you're gonna be moved by the Holy Spirit, by your angels, ancestors, great gods and guides. You're going to be moved 222 on the timer. You're going to be moved out of the way of tragedy and chaos. Okay. So you don't even need to worry about that stuff that's going on out there. I did let myself hit bottom with demoralization around everything that's going on out there. But then when I finally hit bottom, I feel better now. I feel better again. I was tired of trying to stay afloat. Maybe I need to hit bottom, because who knows, maybe the portal to the next dimension that I'm supposed to be in, the next echelon I'm supposed to be on, is at the bottom. That's where the information is to let me get to transcend to the next level. People so afraid of the bottom. Everyone always wants to be like, oh, ascension, ascension, ascension. No. The Holy Spirit is in all directions, holistic, all directions, dimensions, and densities. It's not a fragmented spirit. It's not a divided spirit, right? So this is why we have to do all the integration work. Who wants the poor conditions of the heart and mind? The great thing about the poor conditions of the heart and mind is like the subjugation of the heart. When you do the shadow work and transcend all of that, you are one of the richest people, because the wealth is in the shadow. It's in the darkness. It's not in the light, actually. The wealth, the power, the wisdom comes from transmuting trauma into gold. That's why we're alchemists. That's why Pluto, which does have to do with trauma and karma, Pluto is also the ruler of wealth, riches, things found underground. What's found underground? Oil. Who are the most wealthy people in the world? You probably don't even know their names, because they're oil billionaires. They're not celebrity tech billionaires. They're oil sheiks or sheikhs. The richest people in my country, we found oil back maybe a decade or so ago, and they quickly got involved in that shit. Quickly. Probably were willing to sell out our country as well. And that's why they got so much money. But the people who have really made money in my country most recently, who have become the most rich people, oil. Where's it found? Underground, in the earth. Wait. And Pluto kidnapped Persephone, who was the daughter of what? A sky and earth god. Her kidnapping changed the course of Earth, right? And also having our consent robbed of us, that's another, that's more of also what we've been healing from. So there's that. And then there's also jewels, precious minerals, precious stones, diamonds, pearls, whatever. No, not pearls. They're made in the mouths of oysters. But diamonds, rubies, those sorts of things. So then we also have like gold and copper, which actually I would say like that's more useful, because though gold and copper conduct electricity, copper is antimicrobial. So it deflects low vibrational energies, entities, substances. It purifies water. It purifies energy, because atmospheric, we live in water. This may not feel like water, but when it's humid, it sure does feel like we're walking through water, because we are. It's just not as dense as the water in the rivers and the oceans, right? So we need to lighten up. And that means letting go of the spiritual baggage, because that's what's being used to control you. The more that you do that, the more, like, stop worrying about the money, because you know that you're always going to be taken care of. Okay. That's how they're trying to control you, and to control your emotional framework, how you feel, how you're acting, all that shit. That's how they're using it to control you. Okay. So stop allowing them to do that. Be joyous, be carefree, be serene, be loving, be happy, regardless of what your material circumstances are. I know that's not possible to always be that way, but the crisis that you think is coming is not coming. You need to be focused on doing the spiritual work, because that's what's going to get you out of these traps, and that's going to allow you to come into union, divine union, like I said. So nothing is more important right now than the spiritual work. I wanted clarification on the Knight of Swords in reverse. There's not a lot of forward motion, but you need to still have faith in your power of co-creation. And just sometimes it's not about putting out energy, it's about cultivating the energy within. The Hermit, you really need to be on your hermit mode. I think that we've talked enough about the social aspect of things. I think we've even really talked about the romance aspect of things. If you want to know more about that kind of stuff, I would really recommend you to go ahead and follow the premium tier on my Substack. It is called The Mysteries. The actual Substack is called The Channel, and people who subscribe to The Mysteries will get a free 15-minute reading from me sent to you on any subject that you want. If you subscribe this week, this month and this month only, because it will be going up behind the paywall next month, and I will no longer be offering that fun little cute incentive. Three of Swords, there's heartbreak. There's heartbreak coming up. It's not necessarily other people, though I do pick up that there will be other people outside of you triggering you to the heartbreak, but it's like it all go back to the original hurt and resolve that, heal that, and that fractal will no longer be able to perpetuate. You will heal that, you'll call back all of your energy, and you'll be able to go in a different direction. So there's a lot to be done, and you can just do it. I love you all truly and deeply. I haven't done anything to them. Yeah, usually they'll attack people who haven't done anything to them, but you have to advocate for yourself and protect yourself and defend yourself. You got to fight back. You know, I just wanted freedom and healing. Well, if they are possessed by the adversary, then that's going to upset anybody who's in captivity and does not want to get free. They're jealous of you. So anytime you do the things to get free, they're going to attack you. They're going to always try and say things to make you feel small, to bring you down, to make you feel inferior, so that you don't start to love yourself enough to liberate yourself. That's their MO. But when you see that, instead of caring, like, you have to do the shadow work to get over that. Because honestly, those people are jealous of you. They're sick, they're suffering, they're sad. When I see people like that, I'm just like, bro, it sucks to be you. It really does. Because imagine how much pain they must be in to act like that. And they're also digging their own grave even deeper. And you're getting free. Like I said, the lion doesn't concern themselves with the opinion of the sheep. You got to start looking at yourself as a lion. They're probably also scared of you because you're more powerful than them. And they sense that, and they are threatened, regardless of if you're doing anything threatening or not. They know it. You need to know it. You need to live from that energy. You need to live in your power. Stop kidding yourself. Stop deluding yourself. They're scared of you. They should be. They never seen a God in the flesh. They never seen an angel in the flesh. Oh, they're staring at me. Yeah, of course they're staring at you. Why do I get the sense that they're intimidated by me? They are intimidated, and rightfully so, because you are more powerful than them. And you need to stop going around people who are not as powerful as you and only invest your relation into the relationships. Well, they're not going to, and you're not going to let them. Your collective's not going to let them. Your spirit team is not going to let them. Just be like, I don't care what they want. You will never finish me. You will never finish me. But you have to have that kind of energy. I really recommend you to start using, today, start using self-concept subliminals and use subliminals to help you heal this trauma. Because that your problem is not other people, your problem is your mindset. And that's not always true for everyone, but they might still attack you, but your mindset is what's making you think that they have power over you. And that's what they want. So every time you allow them to make you think that they have power over you, you're giving the enemy what they want. You're giving them your power to hurt you and to hurt the collective. the best thing that you can do for the collective and for yourself is to stop giving them that power. 3322. They don't have power over you. You have power over them. That's why they're attacking you. You need to take the energy that they're sending, transmute it so it's too high vibrational for them to ever be able to handle, and send it right back. And you also need to do protections. You got to protect your energy. Otherwise, this stuff is going to keep happening to you. 2, 3, 3, 4 on the timer. But I love you all truly and deeply. Please be sure to, you can reach out, book a session, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys later. I got to go meet my friends. I'm going dancing. You should go dancing. You should do whatever makes you so happy. I also have a playlist for inspiration that lifts my spirit when I'm feeling low. And I also have a playlist that's all of my favorite songs, 2, 3, 4 on the timer, all of my favorite songs ever. It's called My Fave Songs Ever. And when I feel sad, I listen to my fave songs ever and I feel happy after a while. Or I listen to my inspiration playlist when I feel hopeless and defeated. Okay? Things are always going to happen. Nobody said that things were not going to happen. That's just the nature of life. But what are you going to do in response? That's the question. Okay? I'm wishing you so much love. You're going to get through this. You're part of my collective. The war's already the war's already won, babes. I got you. I'm going to definitely keep you in my prayers this week. And yeah, happy hunting.